Hello everyone, hope you're all doing good today. I'm going to do another video on the game which I just uploaded, just because I had quite a lot of response from it, quite a lot of positive response, and I think one of the things I really want to do is just for people who are sort of just getting into chess is kind of explain really what's going on, because I think when you just look at the games it doesn't really give enough information as to so you can actually appreciate the moves and the ideas behind these moves. So I'm going to look at this game again. Again, I do already have a video on this, and I played it a little while ago now, so some of the ideas and things are a little bit out from what I can remember, but I'll do my best to go through this game, and we can look at the engine analysis. We've got Stockfish here as well, so it's always interesting to sort of compare your ideas and use Stockfish as a very good reference as well. It's a pretty reasonable way, I think, of analysing games. So I was playing white, and it starts with e4, and we've got a French, which is the move e6, d4, and a normal move would be something like d5. So this kind of the idea of the French really is to support this d pawn in the centre. So obviously white has the two centre pawns, black is challenging the centre and has some support from the e pawn. The downside obviously is this bishop. There are some other similar openings which, for example, in I think it's called the Slav variation. Should probably have done my research before I started this video. I think that comes perhaps from the kind of Queen's Gambit type line. So I think that usually starts with the move d4. Which is essentially a similar opening, except that you don't have this blocked light square bishop. So it's kind of pros and cons essentially. I forget which opening it specifically was, but in any case, this is a very, very reasonable opening. This, like I said, there's more than one way of playing here. But yeah, d5 would have been perhaps the best move, or certainly one of the best ideas, which would be logical. The computer here played a typical, more beginner's sort of move, and the computer played here the move, not d5, queen to h4, and you'll see the evaluation has shot up in white's favour. And the reason is that although it looks like this is a good idea to bring out the most powerful piece and attack something of white's that seems good, is that the queen doesn't really belong here. And as we will see, it's a very easy target, so white can conveniently develop, for example, with knight to f3 at some point, and it's just going to be gaining tempos all the time against this piece. So it's rather a convenience for white to have this situation. It's not really helpful for black. So white can protect this in a convenient way. The engine is recommending bishop to d3. I went with the move knight to c3. And obviously at some point, the computer's evaluation is based on two things. It's based on the positional aspects and kind of material aspects. But at some point there's usually comes the time where we see that materialize in balance in terms of the material situation. So it's likely at some point we could either see white winning a pawn or having a very, very good position, where black can't do anything, for example. There could be many scenarios with that, but you get the idea. It's good for white. It's like if the queen is attacking something, white can easily defend it. It's like, well, what's the queen actually doing here? It's better to develop your other pieces that can actually do productive things on the chessboard. So here actually believe it or not, the best move here for black is actually the move queen to d8. Again, because the queen doesn't really belong here. And this kind of makes some sense because, like I said earlier, is that knight f3 is a logical move, which we could expect. So it makes sense for black to just anticipate this and just move the queen out of the way. But instead, the computer played knight to f6, and again, you notice the evaluation's gone up, and you can see here the top move is knight f3, and knight f6 would normally be, in most typical positions, be a good move, but you can see now that the queen can no longer retreat on this diagonal, so the queen's sort of getting a little bit stuck here, which is not a good situation for black. So I played the move knight to f3, and the computer wants to put the queen on h5 here. But the computer, or rather the Simply Chess app which I was playing, put the queen on g4. Queen here does a few things that obviously are worth observing. I mean, first of all, black is attacking the e4 pawn. The queen is also watching over the pawn on g2, but again, although these are seen positive aspects, there are still big issues with this, and the queen really doesn't have many squares. Now with the knight here, we can see that these two squares are covered, you know, the g5 and the h4 squares. So as long as white is careful and doesn't just, for example, play a natural move like moving the bishop, which would drop the g2 pawn, this is usually not a good situation for black. And this is really a good example, a really good game example to illustrate this point, really, about why the queen shouldn't be developed early. I'm just going to quickly stop the video here. I have to reply to a important text on my phone. But I'll continue in the next part.